Are you a kid dealing with panic attacks? That is not a fun feeling. I'm going to tell you how to deal with them up next. Hi, I'm Natasha Daniels, and I'm a child therapist and an OCD and anxiety specialist, and I make videos to help kids with anxiety and OCD. If you like videos to help your anxiety, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe because I have new videos on anxiety and OCD every Thursday. So today I want to talk to you about panic attacks. Panic attacks can feel very scary. So I want to explain a little bit about what panic attacks are and how to cope with them as a kid. So unfortunately, if you have anxiety, you are prone to panic attacks. And panic attacks in general are just a false alarm in your body. And so when you have anxiety, your emergency response system, if you want to look at it that way, is a little bit too sensitive. And so it's constantly seeing danger that isn't there. And so sometimes the emergency button is pushed by accident. And that is what we call panic attacks. So panic attacks are basically when your body is in what people call fight or flight mode. And so it thinks there is an emergency. For some reason, just chemically, your body just decided, we're having an emergency. There is like this big giant bear that we need to run from. And unfortunately, it's a complete false alarm. Have you ever just been somewhere, been at school where the fire alarm goes off and nobody knows exactly why? It's not a scheduled fire alarm. And everybody's like, didn't we just have a fire alarm yesterday? Why are we having a fire alarm? There's no fire, but you're a little panicky because you're like, where is the fire? Because we already had a fire alarm. It's kind of like that. Your body is having a false alarm. It shouldn't have gone off. It's not like a planned event. And there is really nothing to be upset or nervous about. The hard part is that your brain doesn't know this. So your brain is looking for the panic. Why am I feeling this way? And the way that your body feels is normal if you're having an emergency. And so a lot of times we feel like our heart is racing. Well, there's a real good reason for every aspect of what you're feeling. Your heart is beating fast because it thinks you're going to have to run. And so it's trying to pump as much blood as possible, and you'll be really fast. Unfortunately, you don't need to run, and so that doesn't feel very good. You're short of breath because your body's starting to get into this revved up state where it's ready to go. And so your breath gets a little bit short. And sometimes your stomach starts to feel a little bit because digestion has stopped because we really don't need to process our food. We're about to run for our life. So you start to feel a lot of physiological, which means physical stuff in your body. So you might have feelings of dizziness, you might feel like your mouth is dry, you might feel like your heart is racing really fast. Everyone kind of experiences a little bit differently, but you don't need to have any of those feelings because you're not running for your life. You're just sitting there on your couch. So how do you handle that? Well, for starters, it really does help to understand that you have panic attacks, because once you know what it is, you realize that you are not having a medical emergency. There is nothing physically harmful for what is happening in your body. It just feels scary. And so if you stop looking for a reason as far as why you're having those feelings, your panic will get smaller. Because what we do when we have panic attacks, and I know this because I used to have panic attacks too when I was a kid, is that I would panic over the feeling of panic. So I would have a panic attack and then I'd panic about the panic attack and then I'd be really panicky. Do you do that? And that's too bad, because if we just accept, somebody in my body pushed the emergency alarm and now my heart is racing and I don't feel good, but there's no medical emergency. And if you remind yourself, there is no medical emergency. These are uncomfortable feelings, but they are not harmful feelings. And I think it's really scary when you're having those feelings, and it's hard to believe when you're in the moment and you're having these feelings that these are not harmful feelings. how can this not be medically bad for me that I'm having all of these really horrific, horrible feelings? And it isn't bad for you. It just feels bad. And so once the emergency button has been pressed, you unfortunately have to ride the wave for these chemicals to settle down and for somebody to go in there and turn off the alarm. You know when you're at school and you hear the emergency alarm bell and you're like, ugh, and you're like, please, somebody turn that off. And you have to wait. You have to go outside and stand there, maybe in the cold or in the heat, and wait 5 to 10 minutes or 20 minutes until they figure out that there's no fire and they figure out that they need to turn it off. That's what you have to do when you're having a panic attack in your own body. You have to wait because now all those chemicals have been set off, and it's going to take a while for the body to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not seeing a bear. I think we're okay. We can turn this off now. Now, if you add panic on top of your panic attack, your body will take a little bit longer to turn off the fire bell because it's still wondering, I'm still feeling very, very panicky. And so it's going to look longer. If you accept it and you're like, okay, these feelings aren't going to go away for a little while. Let me go do something else while my body is learning to reset. That is easier said than done, but that's the best way to deal with a panic attack. And so there are a couple things that you can do while you're having a panic attack to help reset the body and turn off the fire alarm a little bit sooner. So the first one is to recognize that you're having a panic attack. Yep, these are all the signs. These are all the things that happen to me when I'm having a panic attack. My heart is racing. I'm not having a heart attack. It feels like it, but I am not because this is what it feels like every single time. I'm having a hard time breathing. So go through the symptoms. I tell people that sometimes it's helpful to make a video when you're not having a panic attack to yourself about a panic attack. That actually can be very calming. So if you happen to have access to a phone, which I think we all do, or borrow your mom's phone, and make a video and say, hey, Natasha, it's me, Natasha. I want to talk to you about what's going on in your body right now. I know that you're freaking out. I know this because I am you, and you're probably feeling this, and you're probably feeling that, and you're probably feeling that. I'm here to tell you that you're having a false alarm. And so this is what we do when we have a false alarm, Natasha. So I know that sounds totally weird, but make a video to talk to yourself and calm yourself down and go over your symptoms, because when you're in the middle of a panic attack, you are not going to think you're having a panic attack. That's the annoying thing about a panic attack is you have no insight, no awareness about what is actually happening when you're actually experiencing it, which is not fair. So you're going to get amnesia when you're having a panic attack, and you're going to think you're having a heart attack or a medical emergency because that's what it does. So watch a video of yourself telling yourself that you're having a panic attack and name all the symptoms that you normally have, and then do something. So let's talk about that for a second. What should you do? It really depends on who you are. Some people like to do something physical because you do have a lot of adrenaline pumping through your body because it thinks that you're going to have to run. So doing something physical helps work out those chemicals. Now, when I had panic attacks, the last thing I wanted to do was something physical. So it's going to be very dependent on what you prefer. But some people, a lot of boys I work with will do like sit-ups and push-ups or go jogging to help kind of get rid of that yucky feeling. I could never do that, but it depends on you. Also, deep breathing tends to help some people because you're having a shortness of breath, and so you want to bring back some oxygen into your body. If you don't, you're going to be fine. It's okay, but it can help. Now, having said that, I didn't like to breathe when I had a panic attack. So this is going to be different for each person. Some people love to breathe when they're having a panic attack, and it's very relaxing and helpful. So you can do, I call it 2-2-2 breathing. Some people do 4-4-4 breathing. I don't really like to take a lot of deep breaths. So if you breathe in, hold for 2, breathe out for 2, or change your number and do 4s. It doesn't matter. With little kids, you breathe in. Somebody told me you breathe in pizza and you blow out the candles. I like that. I actually did that with my daughter the other day, and she really liked that. So breathing can help Now for me, I was so worried about my breathing that it didn't really help me. It made me hyper focus on my breathing. So figure out what works for you. So after you do either exercise or breathing, it just depends. Actually, what worked for me, and this might be a really weird suggestion, but I liked coldness. And for some reason, the cold air made me feel better. And so I would open up the freezer and take in a deep breath of the cold air. And I liked that. I also, for some reason, felt like I had to eat something sugary because I thought my blood sugar was dropping, but it wasn't. So I would have an orange or an apple whenever I felt like I was having a panic attack, and it made me feel better. Weird, but it worked. So once you deal with those kind of things, you want to keep your mind busy. So do an activity. If you just sit there and overanalyze physiologically what's happening in your body, gosh, my heart rate is still going. I still can't breathe. I'm still feeling really dizzy. That's not going to help anybody. The longer you hyper focus on it, the longer it's going to stay around because you're panicking. So make a list of activities that you like to do that calm you down, preferably ones that keep your mind busy. So maybe you're going to go talk to your mom. Maybe you're going to go on Instagram. Maybe you're going to go watch a Netflix movie. Maybe you're going to go read a book. Or maybe you're going to do an activity like arts and crafts or play the ABC game. If you're sitting in class and you're having a panic attack and you can't go do an activity, play something called the ABC game. So look around the room and find something that begins with A. Okay, actually I'm horrible at this game, so I can't even think of an example. But it depends. You don't have to do it being something around the room. You can do just something in your head because that would actually work better for me. So I'd be like A, apple, B, Bob, C, car, D, dog, and I go through them. And that keeps my mind busy and away from hyper-focusing on what's going on with my body physically. It's going to be different for each person. Figure out what you like to do. I tend to want people to do things that involve the brain. So music isn't great if you just sit there and listen to music and not the lyrics. But if you listen to the lyrics and it really keeps your mind busy, then music is great. You want to be able to do something. Drawing wouldn't work for me because if I'm drawing, I can still worry. But for some people, maybe they really get into their drawings and it takes their brain away. So make a list, make a video, and tell yourself what you need to be doing, and that would be really effective. If you don't want to do a video, just jot down a list of the activities that you want to do and then put it somewhere privately that you can pull up so that when you're having a panic attack, you can go get it. I hope these tips are a little bit helpful. I know panic attacks are not fun, but luckily, when you don't give it a lot of attention, they go a lot quicker. I hope you're enjoying your day. If you're finding my videos helpful, give a thumbs up, subscribe because I'll have new videos on new topics every Thursday. Until then, I hope you find the sparkle in everything you do. I'll talk to you later. Bye.